thought every so often I'll peek around and say hello. I was the medical director for the Home Doctor Service from 2011, and I worked with a guy called Nick Demaduke, who some of you may know, and we were the medical directors with a lady called Josie Adams, and oddly enough the Adams family, who ran the Home Doctor Service in Melbourne. And I had done, up until that point, for about 38 or 39 years. And very successfully, and we enjoyed it. And then we heard that Crescent Capital were buying it, being bought out by private equity, and Nick and I looked at each other after the dinner at which we were told and thought, holy shit. Sorry, Sally, I said I wouldn't swear, but I've done it now. And we thought, this is really, private equity, they bought us. And that's the end of it. And they're going to take us apart and sell us for spares. And the exact opposite happened. Absolutely the opposite happened. They poured in money. They poured in literally millions of dollars into education, into quality, increased the number of medical directors, and really tried to make sure that the quality of the organisation grew. And from that, people heard about us. We went from 100 doctors or thereabouts, well, 102 doctors, to about 200 doctors in Melbourne now, 800 around the country, cover 80% of the country, and it's because quality came first. As Jeff said before, when you put quality in the top of your sausage machine, at the bottom comes business. If you don't put quality in at the top, I'm paraphrasing slightly, so I didn't quite say that. But if you don't put quality in at the top as your first ingredient, then nothing comes out at the bottom. Okay? Everything's about quality. So I saw this. And when Sun Doctors, as another Crescent company, approached me and said, would you like to do this role? I agreed, because I knew what the company was and what it stood for, and that it walks the talk. And it does. Absolutely walk the talk. So that's my background most recently. Before that, as you can tell from my accent as well, I'm a Pom. My apologies for that, but I do have an Australian passport now. And trained in the UK, my background was emergency. I spent a total of 10 years in emergency, split between Australia and England. I did a part 1 and part 2 in surgery in the UK, but not the part 3, which was the way into emergency, or one of the ways into emergency at that time, which is why I have a surgical interest now, and why I teach quite a lot of surgery. And since then I became a GP, realised that blood pressure and diabetes didn't excite me too much, and quite by chance fell into skin cancer about 9 years ago now. And that's really what I've pursued since then. And that really has brought me here to stand in front of you for the next 45 minutes and talk about the future. So what is the future? The future is DermEngine in terms of imaging. DermEngine is the system, and there's no hyperbole here. This is really what it is. It is world-leading. Okay? Absolutely world-leading. I was going to do this at the end, but I'll do it at the beginning, because Kerry was in there, and there's Lana as well. They saw this system in Glenunga surgery at its inception, when it started. The two guys who imagined it were Majid Razmera and Mariam Sadeghi, who were both Iranian graduates who ended up in Toronto, I believe. Vancouver, I'm sorry. And they did a PhD involving IT and its interaction with healthcare. And out of that came melanoma prevention imaging called DermEngine. When we first received it, before I was on board, it was clearly a system with potential, but it was rough around the edges. It needed work. And Glenunga Surgery with Graham, Perry and Lana took this on board with their other products they use there as well, and they refined it and refined it and refined it and refined it, and it's been refined again and again and again. And we work with an IT team, about 12 of them I think now in Vancouver, who are extremely responsive, who don't sleep. I'll show you a video clip later on in this, that I haven't even watched yet, okay? Which was emailed to me just now because Majid said to me, this is a better video than the one you've got, try this one. And I trust him implicitly. And therefore we'll show that video without even having seen it beforehand, with a little bit of a risk. Okay? So a world-leading team with a world-leading technology. It is cutting edge. Some of the features I'll elucidate, and some of them we'll try. So I've brought the kits with me, and during lunch I would like 5 minutes with each of you, and in that 5 minutes I can teach you how to use it. Okay? And Carrie and Lana will help me with that. Lana, I haven't asked you to help yet, but now you will. Okay? And it's a system that is easy to use, and its simplicity is its strength. And it's ours. It's only ours. We have exclusive rights to this. This sets us apart from everybody else. What is it? We'll come to that later. But why do we need it? That's what I want to talk about now, at the beginning. Who here uses imaging? Who doesn't use imaging? You can say it's fine, you don't have to use imaging. So there might, well, that's half the talk done now, there's only 2 people to convince. If it was easier to use, do we think we'd use more imaging, generally? Yeah? Okay. Do we think imaging is valuable? Definitely. I think imaging is extremely valuable. It's an essential part of what we do. It's an essential part of patient care. I'll put this out there. This is the standard. Okay? There are people who are philosophically opposed. I didn't ask you guys whether you're philosophically opposed to it, but I have had conversations with people who philosophically believe that we should not be imaging, that we should be cutting off anything that's suspicious. I'm philosophically opposed to that. Okay? Sequential digital dermoscopy imaging, SDDEI, is the skin cancer standard in 2016 and has been for some time, in fact. The evidence. Well, there is good evidence, to quote some of the studies from these people. For featureless incipient melanoma, there's good evidence. There's increased sensitivity in the diagnosis of melanoma and decreased benign excision rates. 3 monthly follow-up regimen has been recommended and has been proven to show melanomas that are evolving. A healthcare cost reduction with the use of SDDI versus excisions. And these people here, these are the lead thinkers. Menzies, Kittler, Rosendahl, Argentia. I don't believe in slavishly following somebody because they have a name. Okay? That's not what we do. We're not a belief system. Okay? We're not scientists. We're doctors. We practice medicine, the art of medicine. But we base it on the science of medicine. We're scientists, we're critical thinkers as well. On the other hand, these guys together have invested decades and decades and decades of their time and effort and research and working life into what they do, and we ignore them at our peril. But despite the evidence, and we can mount up more and more evidence, there's simple critical thinking logic. I like to think critically about things if we can. What do we do? 99.9% of what we see every day is obviously benign. We look at a patient and they may have however many moles, and nearly all of them, if not all of them, we know on dermoscopy or macroscopically are benign. There are those that are obviously malignant, and they come off and they go into a pot. There's no argument, that's a sterile debate. And there are those in between. Okay? And there are some in between. And we have algorithms that we use, but nevertheless they don't always give us the answers. And it's for those in between. What's this one here? It's a real patient from last week, maybe the week before. Yeah, it's an incipient melanoma, or it's benign, or it's most. Who thinks it's benign? I think it's benign, okay? But that's not really the question I was being asked by the patient. The patient was asking me, is this benign? The patient was wondering if it was melanoma. Okay. Do I know? Can I predict for sure that that bit over there isn't the beginning of a melanoma? 100%. No, I can't say that 100%, but I'm pretty sure. Okay. If the patient hadn't been so worried, I may not have imaged that. But as we've said repeatedly this morning, we are about the patients. And if we don't put the patient and the quality of care top, front and centre, then we're not doing our job. Okay. This one here, another patient. Who thinks this is benign? Well, I think it's benign. Okay. These are all real images with Zermagen, by the way. That little corner there, that little corner just up there, don't know, okay? But that might bear 3-month follow-up. Why wouldn't we do that if we have the ability to take a photograph in seconds and follow it up, so we can be sure medically that it's safe and the patient can be sure that it's safe? This one here, a similar story, almost certainly benign. Not 100% sure about that corner, maybe a little dark in the centre. But why not image it? Again here, and I'm showing you these, we'll come back to these later, to also show you the quality. Okay? These are taken with the standard setup in our clinic. Okay, again, you can vouch for that, or maybe you can't, I don't know if you're there for these photos, but I don't do anything special. Okay? And yet the quality is good enough to project to all of you here. This one similarly. And the same as these are all patients who had concerns. Okay? And I was able to service those concerns, not dancing to their tune, but nevertheless we are answerable to our patients' concerns. And I'll do this at the end. Even from you. So who here, by the way, has thought one thing about a mole, the patient thought another, and they were right and you were wrong? How does that happen? We have all this training, all this experience, we see so much, all they see is their own skin, and yet we get it wrong and they got it right. And the answer is that sometimes people know much more about themselves than we know about them. We see a split second in time, whereas they live in their skin, and they intuitively know if something has changed or something is wrong. Maybe to go slightly further back from this, again slightly off script, as a society, we've suffered to some extent from the duality that Descartes put forward a few hundred years ago, the mind-body split. And we're very cerebral, we think a lot, we're very scientific, everything's about scientific advance and evidence and method. But we've lost the ability to think of ourselves as animals do, to have that innate sixth sense, that gestalt, that feeling. Okay? Sometimes patients bring that to the table, literally, in our case. They actually bring it into the clinic room, they bring that gestalt, that knowledge, that innate knowledge that something's not quite right. And they tell us. And if we don't listen to them, okay, we are missing an opportunity. And by listening in skin cancer, I mean looking. And by looking in skin cancer, I mean recording. Okay? We cannot record in words. We cannot record in any other way other than pictorially. Where's the worrisome mole hair? Well, from macro, who knows? And this is the problem. So doctors who don't use dermoscopy or dermatoscopy, okay, which are many of our colleagues outside of this room and outside of our organisation, is it impossible to tell what's going on? Oh, actually that one there. Okay? That was the one that I was worried about. Or, you know what, I wasn't even worried about it, the patient was worried about it. Okay? Cosmetically sensitive area, so I photographed it. That was it. Okay? So you'll see, I'll maybe use the cursor there. Can you all see the cursor up there? No. Radial dots around it. Okay? Otherwise, really benign looking nevus. Okay? This lady was in her early 30s, I reckon, maybe late 20s. Okay? Probably just a grow mole. And she came back with that. Okay? And I'm absolutely sure it's the same mole. I triple, quadruple checked to make sure it was the same mole, and it had regressed. Okay? That's a waiting biopsy. We can see, if we go back a couple of slides, I didn't biopsy in the first place for two reasons. Number one, I wasn't worried about the mole itself. Okay? Number two, it is in a cosmetically sensitive area. Yes, not quite décolletage, but over here, where she doesn't want necessarily a scar, and where with the very best intent, I can't guarantee that the scar will be beautiful. Okay? I'll try my very hardest, but it's a difficult area and prone to stretch. Okay? She's also a lady who may have children in the near future and may breastfeed, and therefore will also be subject to anatomical stretch. Okay? So for those reasons, imaging is important. Who wants to scar this lady's back? This is not a patient, this is a stock photo. Okay? Who wants to scar this lady's back? Okay? Why not image and follow up? If we can be sure that we are not going to miss anything malign. We've all heard this. Blink, think, compare. Or maybe we haven't all heard this. This is just Giuseppe or Geppi Argenzio's way of approaching skin cancer examination. Blink, think, and compare. So if we take again a step back and slightly off script, there's a guy called Kahneman who's an economist who's a Nobel Prize winner. And he has type 1 and type 2 thinking that he talks about. And type 1 thinking is a quick blink approach. Okay? You make a diagnosis. Straight away, benign, malignant, bad, good, simple, friend, foe. That's the evolutionary equivalent. Is this thing going to attack me, or is it my friend? That's the blink response, okay? Sometimes though, the blink response isn't good enough, okay? So when you're on the savannas in Africa several million years ago, what you see in a distance might be a tiger, but you're not sure. You've got to apply some algorithm to that. Okay? Is it moving? Are those stripes really waves in the grass, or are they stripes on the tiger? Okay? Is this friend or foe? And that's where think comes in. How do we think nowadays in what we do? Well, the thinking are all of those algorithms that we use, the chaos and clues algorithms. Okay? Or the many other Menzies algorithms, many other algorithms that are out there.